Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Weevil Underwood Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post-Photon Hypernova. We got a bunch of new insect support in the newest Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster set. We even have a combination between the Insect Queen and the Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth, two of Weevil's go-to boss monsters. A really awesome fusion and just makes use of all the different playstyles we can do with the insects. So using the ballpark spells, including some of the new ones we got, and also a few other awesome insect monsters, all based around cards that Weevil Underwood used, mixed together for one very, very fun insect deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we will go ahead and start off with the main deck. For our first boss monsters for the insects, we're running one Metamorphosed Insect Queen and one Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. This is both of the boss monsters used for the new fusion we have. Not that you necessarily need to use these monsters for them, but you can get around some of the special summoning for both of these cards thanks to our one spell that we run, which is the Cocoon of Ultra Evolution, and plenty of the other insect options we have. With Metamorphosed Insect Queen, it must be special summoned by a card effect. If another insect is on the field, your opponent cannot target insect monsters you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And at the end of damage step, if this card attack, you contribute one monster to this card attack or an opponent's monster, again in a row. And once per turn, during the end phase, you can special summon one insect monster token onto the field. So this just gives you resources just like the original Insect Queen was supposed to do, but at a much easier rate to do so. And then the Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth is just a 3,500 attack point monster, but can easily be special summoned out onto the field with ignoring its summoning condition when we do so. For some of the new cards that we are running in the deck, I'm running 3 copies of the new Bio Insect Armor. This is, I would say, one of the first monsters we ever saw of Weevil Underwood with his basic insect equipped with the weaponry that he used in his first fight against Rex Raptor. If this card is in your hand or graveyard and you do not control a Bio Insect Armor, you can target one insect monster you control, equip this card to it, but banish it when it leaves the field. Also banish this equipped card when it leaves the field. You can only use this effect of Bio Insect Armor once per turn. The equipped monster gains 1,500 attack and 2,000 defense during the battle phase and main phase 2 only. So with that main phase 2 option, you're given a monster that you can then use by tributing an insect monster with 2,000 or more defense is a way with the equipped card, and that is what Bio Insect Armor is meant to do. So then you can summon out your ultimate great insect thanks to this card just equipping on to a insect monster you have. For more of a protection card during the battle phase, we also run 3 copies of Infinite Antlion. Once per turn at the start of damage step, when an insect monster battles, you can target one card you control and one card your opponent controls, destroy them. You can only use each effect of Infinite Antlion once per turn. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summon, you can equip one insect monster from your hand or graveyard to this card as an equip spell, and that gives it 500 attack and defense. So just like it says, it's a trap sort of monster, making it so if your opponent tries to attack, they're in for a world of hurt thanks to this card, making it so it's just that much more difficult. And equipping an insect monster from your hand or graveyard to this card when you special summon this card from your hand, and when it's special summoned, just being able to equip it can also give you more of a setup thanks to some of the other cards we're running, like Bio Insect Armor anyway. I'm also running 3 copies of Resonance Insect. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add one level 5 or higher insect monster from your deck to your hand, and if it's banished, you can send one insect type monster from your deck to the graveyard except for Resonance Insect. So it's more setup with some of the other cards, including our new Bear Graham Armor Pair bug monster. It's like a big banished bug monster that we also got in the latest Photon Hypernova set. So it can be part of that banish and then graveyard setup thanks to this card, and also giving you a search for any of the level 5 or higher monsters we run, even just being a direct search for the Bio Insect Armor that I just spoke of. Running the Gokable engine in the engine as well definitely does help, just for the playstyle of the deck, being able to set up some other monsters on the field. So we'll run 3 Gokable. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one level 4 insect monster from your deck to your hand. Then if you added a normal monster, you can special summon it. Then you can destroy one monster on the field with attack greater than or equal to the special summon monster. You can only use this effect of Gokable once per turn. So just having it sent to the graveyard can give you plays to then work with our normal monsters that we run in the deck. One of my best ones to go into is Shiny Black Sea Squad. water. Having 2,000 attack, it's a definite powerhouse. And then if you were to equip it with your bio insect armor, making it all the stronger to then use against your opponent. Even though it does have 0 defense, if you equip it with your bio insect armor, it can still meet the requirements to tribute out for your ultimate great insect. I also run 2 copies of Insect Knight, just as another additional normal monster target to go into and summon on the field, thanks to this card. If you want to run a 3rd copy of this card, you can reduce the number of your resonance insects or infinite antlion to 2, whichever one you prefer, to put in a 3rd copy of this card. And I also run 3 copies of Parasite Paranoid, just another equip option with this card. Quick effect, you can target one face-up monster on the field, equip this card from your hand to that target. The equipped monster becomes an insect-type monster. You cannot attack insect-type monsters. Also, its effects activate by targeting and insect monsters are negated. You can only use this effect of Parasite Paranoid once per turn, and if this equipped card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 level 7 or higher insect monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. So this is one of the ignored summoning conditions if you have the Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth or the Metamorphosed Insect Queen in your hand, summoning onto the field, giving you either one of these 2 boss monsters to utilize against your opponent. For some of the other bigger boss monsters, I also run the 1 copy of Super Armored Robot Arm Black Iron C and the new Bear Graham Armor Emperor for the banish play that can you use to summon it out. It cannot be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by banishing 3 insect monsters or plant monsters from your hand or graveyard. You can only special summon this card once per turn this way, and your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to the activation of spell, trap, or effects. And once per turn, you can destroy all face-up monsters on the field except for insect and plant-type monsters. Also, this card cannot attack directly this turn. So an immense boss monster, and then you have the same setup with 3 monsters that are insects of the same name to equip and special summon onto your Iron Black Sea, and then also destroying all monsters your opponent controls with attack greater than or equal to the attack of monsters sent to the graveyard by this effect. So it works well with the giant ball game and ballpark spells that we run in this deck for that added setup. I also run 1 copy of Sneaky Sea and 1 copy of Fariant the Circular Sorcerer. So we have a level 3 Insect Tuner to then give us access to some of the insect synchros that we run in the extra deck, and Sneaky Sea being another search option to then use and set up on the field to then flip and destroy all of our opponent's monsters. That's it for the main deck monsters. Moving on to the spells, I'm running 3 copies of the new Giant Ball Game. During your main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can special summon 1 level 6 or lower insect monster from your graveyard, and you can reveal 1 insect monster in your hand, target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls, and 1 insect monster you control with less than attack than the reveal monster. Switch control with those monsters, and if you do, that monster you took becomes an insect monster. You can only use this effect of Giant Ball Game once per turn. So being it so you can give your opponent a much more weaker insect monster in exchange, kind of reminds me of when Weevil gave the one kid who helped him to sabotage Joey's deck the Go-Kapul card, and that's kind of what's being done here. You're taking one of your opponent's better monsters in exchange for just a simple Go-Kapul. I also run 2 copies of Giant Ballpark and 1 copy of Terraforming to search them out. With Giant Ballpark, during damage calculation, if a player would take battle damage, you can make neither player take any battle damage from that battle and send 1 level 4 lower insect monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then, if it is sent with a normal summon monster this way, you can special summon any number of monsters with the same name as that monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And if a monster you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, except during the damage step, you can special summon 1 insect normal monster from your graveyard. So it all works with the different normal monsters that we run in the deck, just being able to easily set them up on the field with more and more special summons. That's why you want to run the multiples of the normal insects as well in the deck. I also run 3 copies of Cocoon of Ultra Evolution. You tribute 1 insect monster from either field equipped with an equip card. If you do, special summon 1 insect monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. And during your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 insect monster in your graveyard and shuffle it into the deck. Then draw 1 card. You can only use this effect of Cocoon of Ultra Evolution once per turn. But if you equip a monster with your Bio Insect Armor and then have that tribute, you have a monster easily equipped, or even be able to target a monster on the field with your Paranoid for the tribute of your Cocoon of Ultra Evolution. If you get your Metamorphosed Insect Queen or Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth on the field, you can even then use the Bio Insect Armor to equip onto them and make them even more powerful than they were before, getting a monster that with a Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth equipped with it up to 5,000 attack in total. And then for some of the one-ofs for the spells, I run 1 copy of Insect Imitation, 1 Call by the Grave, and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster for back row clearing, since we can be hitting for some pretty big numbers with our insect monsters. Insect Imitation being able just to tribute out a lower level insect monster, and then we have plenty of higher level ones. If you want to increase the number of Insect Imitation, you can drop the number of Call by the Grave or Harpy's Feather Duster for additional copies of this card, or you can try taking out the 2 copies of Wormbait that I run to finish off the main deck as well. If you control an insect monster, special summon 2 worm tokens onto the field. You cannot normal special summon any level 3 or 4 monsters that turn you activate this card, but it gives you access to 2 tokens, which you can then use to go into an insect link monster of your choice. That is it for the main deck. Moving on now to the extra deck. I run 2 copies of Ultimate Great Insect. It needs a level 8 insect monster and 1 level 7 insect monster. You don't really use it for the fusion play in this deck. You can only special summon it once per turn. It must first either be fusion or special summon from your extra deck by tributing 1 insect monster with 2,000 or more defense equipped with an equipped card. It cannot be destroyed by battle. And once per turn during the battle phase, if a face-up card in the field zone, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls, which you will have pretty easily in this deck thanks to your giant ballpark field spell. Once that's set up, you can just clear your opponent's board and then have this big boss monster ready to go against your opponent. If you have your Bioroid Insect or Bio Insect Armor to equip on, you can just make your Ultimate Great Insect that much more powerful to go up against your opponent. For the Synchro monsters, I run 1 Desert Locust and 1 Diobolantis, the Menacing Mantis. You have a level 6 option thanks to the Gokapole and your level 3 tuner, and also with the level 8 option with our Menacing Mantis and any of our level 5 with our level 1 tuner to go into. It all depends on what you can use and have more set up in the graveyard thanks to your Diabolomantis. For the Link monsters, I run 1 copy of Shinobi Insect and 1 Inzektor Picofelina for more equip options with Picofelina, and then with Hagurumino for a protection with any insects that it points to. For bigger insect boss monsters, I also run 2 Seraphim Papillon. With this card needing 2 or more monsters with different names, it gains 200 attack for each counter on it. You can only use each of the following effects of Seraphim Papillon once per turn. If it's link summon, place 1 counter on this card for each insect monster used as link material, and you can remove 1 counter from this card to special summon a level 4 lower insect from your graveyard in defense position, giving you more of a resource to then use on the field. For some of the more generic link monsters, I run 1 Mrs. Radiant, 1 Asa the Earth Charmer, 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Barricade Board Blocker, 1 IP Masquerina, 1 Borreload, and 1 Underworld Goddess for more of a generic play. Barricade Board to recycle the field spell. More, link plays with IP Masquerina, and for the majority of our insects being Earth, I just found the Mrs. Radiant and Asa to be good choices for power boosting and taking our opponent's resources also. As for some of the go-to plays in the deck, once again, a lot of it just comes down to using your Bio Insect Armor for setting up all those plays. If it's in your hand or graveyard and you do not control Bio Insect Armor, you can target 1 insect monster you control and equip this card to it, but banish it when it leaves the field. Also banish the equip card when this card leaves the field as well. So with this play, even if you have that 1 insect on the field to equip onto it, it can even be sent to the graveyard for its setup. So you can use cards like your Giant Ball Game, revealing that insect monster during the main phase. You can special summon a level 6 or lower insect monster from your graveyard. You can reveal an insect in your hand, target 1 your opponent controls, and switch control of them. But then you can use the Giant Ballpark to also then have the option to send other insect monsters to the graveyard. But the big play will come down to you just having the 1 insect ready to go, equipping it on to the Bio Insect Armor, and then, which, depending on what insect monster you use, it'll still gain the 2,000 defense needed, because then you'll have a monster equipped with it and at least 2,000 defense, regardless of which one you equip. You will tribute it on, and then you can go out into your bigger Ultimate Great Insect. If you set up your field spell, you then have that play ready to go. Or you can even go one other route with the tribute. So with that equip, if you didn't want to go for the fusion play, and you have your Bio Insect Armor equipped onto your insect monster, you can use cards like the Cocoon of Ultra Evolution, tributing that monster equipped with an equip card to special summon an insect monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. So with that, you can summon out either of the other boss monsters, so your Metamorphized Insect Queen or your Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth, and then have a bigger card to rely on with that banish. Don't forget, you will banish the Bio Insect Armor when it's equipped, so you'll have to find another one to then equip onto these monsters on the field. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed it. It's a really fun deck. If you're a fan of insects, they definitely got some pretty great support in the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster set, so definitely look into building this deck if you're looking for something and you're a fan of Weevil from the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series as well. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.